Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. Y como siempre, do allow me to start off by thanking everybody for your guys' words, prayers, and for everything you guys expressed my way. De corazón se los agradezco. Now, to get into the story on hand, when I came on YouTube, the whole purpose to come on here was to tell my story in the hopes that it could be not something good, but at least something positive in the sense to help someone, deter them from going down that path that I did, which is nothing but, betrayal, lies, and sincerely suffering. You do a lot of suffering for a lot of different reasons. I don't need to nitpick them, but also to see if not just deter them from it, also to see if they could focus on what counts, which is oneself and their loved ones. Cause whenever we get busted, we're always about guys solo. You fall on your own. You go off and do your time, and yeah, physical wise, whatever, you're gonna do the suffering, but at the same time, you no cae solo. Your family falls with you. Your family does the time with you, and well, mainly that's what my focus was on. So I would like to get back into my story to complete it. It's just been rough. Like today, I plan and it don't go down the way I plan. My health just, but it's kind of something good for my ego or for my pride. That I plan something and it's always, I thank, you know, my higher power, which in my case is Jesus, that He levels me back to ground. So I'm not on here to complain about what I'm going through. I accept it. I said it many times and I'll say it again. But anyways, I want to start touching on my story again, and for that I want to go back because I don't want to lose, the people that had just barely came by. And I'm taking the advice from someone that's been with me from the beginning, to go back and recap basically on the main events in my life so that could make sense. So for this, I want to take you back to the end of 99, 2000. I was hitting Ironwood, and when I hit Ironwood, I was coming from the wars up north. So for the first 2-3 weeks, they put me in ATSEC because I was coming from an ATSEC. And while I was there, my neighbor was a señor, from ahí also. And so we got to know each other, and I sent him my paperwork. I also told him, who Marceli was in San Quentin, and that I was supporting wherever I landed under his name, and all that stuff you go through with a camarada when you arrive to a place. So after he checked with Raul from Riverside and everything checked out, he started asking me that if I went to A Yard, if I could support him and Terco with grabbing a hold of this yard. That there was already a whole crew out there that was willing to support me with this task. So I said, it would be a placer. Sería todo un placer on my end. Again, I was at that stage of my life, right, where we're in the system, and at least in my case, I wanted my neighborhood to be what I thought then in the correct ears, right? In the right people's ears. So, anyways, dispensing. So I got out to A Yard. So when I got out there, right away I met with 4 or 5 camaradas that were there before me, but you could say they weren't recommended the way Raul recommended me. When in reality, I was pollo, I was verde, I was tonto. I was known for a lot of years as Raul Corona's kid, right? Because we were cellies and he had me under his wing. We actually treated each other like what a relationship between a camponero and a pili should be. But anyways, so I got out there and there was a lot of obstacles when I got out there. For example, the first one was, I guess the vato that was before me, that was supposed to be running that yard, he was a big old tecato, so he wasn't even checking paperwork. So when I got out there, I knew from the start, I had to double down on who was walking amongst me and the rest of the camaradas. So I asked the meseros to go ahead and ask for everyone's paperwork again. It was going to be checked again. So by me doing this, without pulling you guys' leg, at least a third of the yard locked it up from the gate. There was a lot of basura on the yard that had R's, that were known snitches, but they weren't being screened the correct way. It was the vato that was there. He was just there for the glory and to get high. So he didn't care. So anyways, this went by, and a couple incidents, which I would later get into better, happened. But two of the most noticeable ones was an older camarada from Maravilla. He had came down from Pelican Bay. He had gotten kicked out under the inactive 5 years in Pelican Bay, and they were kicking you back out to the main line. So he got out there, and right away he got out there and he started saying that he had gotten sent there with orders to take over the yard, that I was to step aside and allow him to do so. And even though I was wet behind the ears, I got taught, at least, tu servicio es tu servicio. What I mean by this is, when you're given a position and somebody gets there just to tell you to step down, you're to hold on to your position if it don't come from the person you're supporting. So, but it also, you're to take the proper steps, which is, don't press that line till you're told to, right? Do what you're supposed to as a sureño and run that make, and if it comes back that homeboy has more experience than you and he could do a better job, then as camarada to another camarada, you to allow him que pilotee. So I told him, alright, let me double check this, and I'll get back at you. Now I could have gone both ways. One is, if Terco would have told me like, nah, no, they don't allow nobody to take nothing, then I knew what I had to do. And if it was false, then I knew what I had to do. The only other way things were going to end up different was if Terco told me, look, home would put in his time over here, allow him to go ahead and grab a hold of things and you support him. But anyways, I went back and I ran the make, and it came back that Chales, homeboy did not get out there, not just with that palabra, but with no palabra, period. The whole time he was up in Pelican Bay, I guess at one point homeboy had had Hugo, but when he was back there, he just sat back there, He didn't want to partake in nothing no more. You could say that, or he didn't push to partake more until now that he was getting out the shoe. He wanted to be in the mix again, and it don't work like that. For those that know what time it is, you can't go. Well, at this time, he can't hit the shoe and expect to just sit back and not support, and then get out the shoe and have that same Hugo you had before you went into the shoe, right? Before you got validated. There's no pausas in between, you're either gonna do it or not. So not to make this story long, I knew what time it was, so I packed all my stuff, got on state blue, state boots, and I saw a camarada right before when we went out to night yard, and you know, we're gonna support each other, or he was gonna support me. So, anyways, we started taking laps, and we happened to see him outside a 3 block, and he was sitting down next to the wall, and we do a lot of things that's kind of cowardish, at least in my end. For example, he knew what he had spoke about, so he knew what was coming, cause he knew I was gonna check, and as he's sitting down, I didn't even give him a chance, like I should have, like a campolero, right? But I didn't. I kicked him in the face. He hit his head on the wall, and I just hit him a few times, and then walked off and walked inside the building, and I was able. I'm not gonna say get away. Homeboy allowed me to get away because he kept his lips shut, right? Anyways, time went on, and a little bit later, there was another camarada, a younger camarada that came from a different yard in Ironwood, and he got there saying that he was clicked up with Güero, Boxer, and Negro from Artesia, but that Boxer specifically was his tío, right? These were the words he got there saying. So when he was saying this, those are strong words. So I had to be real careful, like when anything came out of my mind, if it was like he was saying it was. For one, everybody knew, at least when it came to Boxer, he had an open war everywhere, and as I later found out too, so did Terco. Terco was on a lot of different yards warring with certain pilis that, to one sense or another, he came out on top. If you guys really analyze Terco and the wars he had open, he knew what he was doing. He knows what he's doing, to say it like that. But anyways, so I heard this for a couple days, so I kept coming out and strolling, and he kept asking for the person that had the keys, and at this time I had already wisened up to the point where I allowed the llaveros to go ahead and manage everything, and me, I would just sit back in the shadows, and of course, when a camarada's paperwork and everything checked out and he wanted to address me, then I had to give the camarada his due respects and come out the shadows and present myself, right? But anyways, like 3 days went by, so I eventually, confronted him, and I asked him, hey, a ver, ¿quién te mandó? And then he told me, that he was there under directives of taking over the yard, and a whole bunch of different stuff, that he was doing a whole bunch of extra stuff that didn't have nothing to do with their yard, right? So I told him, my concern is aquí, So I told him, all right, no hay ningún problema. I left it open like that. But like I said, I went back and I called, you know, la secretaria on the streets, and I basically put her up on game on what was going on. I asked her if she could go ahead and touch base with Terco and let me know what's going on, right? Because at the end of the day, that was his yard, right? That's who I was representing on the yard, mainly. So it came back from Terco that Chales. Just like that, Chales. Que no. And he also says to go ahead and take care of that and do it to where you prove a point, And then he gave me this, you could say this verse that he liked to use, which was, nada, dice que no, que vayas y le avientes un borlo, un party, y que lo hagas al estilo mexicano con piñatas y dulce duro. If you guys know what I'm trying to say. So I knew what I had to do, So again, we caught the homie at Not Yard, It was the best time to do something like that, and at least in Ironwood, But it was just something that had to be moved correctly. For example, it was me again and another camarada. It's a good homie from San Fernando that I would touch on my next story. And at the same time that they seen us go ahead and move on Güero, it was they were going to move on the rest of the mesa because Güero had already started establishing a mesa. So we were going to take them all back to the hole, And also, and at this time, Sapo from San Pedro were back there, so they were eventually all going to go back there and they were going to answer up for what they got there saying they were there to do that wasn't true. Well, at least that's what it was coming back to be, right? So anyway, we walked around and the first one was a camarada from the Valle that was with me. He went go ahead and started, booking homeboy, and I went in after him and well, you guys know I don't like to glorify this or nothing I done. So we did what we did, and the rest of the guys did what they did, and we went back to the hole. We all got busted, We all got busted. It wasn't like gonna be like something like you run up, hit, and then punch out, right? It was gonna turn into something big. So, anyways, we went back to the hole, and as we were back in the hole, I have the Amapil with me that's gonna to present to Oso and Sapo, right? And from the palabras from T. So we got back there. I guess Güero and the rest of them showed the papalotes that were coming from Boxer, and this was one out of many that I guess Boxer was at that stage, in his career. And this was when the Maravilla part happened, 2000 something. But this Guarito incident was close to 2002, like right before you could say Boxer decided to really come out with his true colors, right? So he was pressing that line, he knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was just trying to get as much possible to throw that white flag with the Judas. But anyways, the camaradas, they went back there and stirred up, and when they got back to Pelican Bay, and they asked, Boxer, hey, este es tu sobrino, este otro, and this is the type of character he was. He said, Chales, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. See, but this was the beginning, the whole whole M, todos los Pilis, they knew Boxer was gonna check in. They were waiting on it. They were just back there where they couldn't touch each other. So their best bet was to push him to punch in, right? Because I mean, here's two Pilis that seen the Amapilis coming from Boxer, but they still went up to him asking. And Boxer being that big old tecato that don't even care about a camarada in any sense of way, but the power, the money, y las vitaminas para la vena, that's all they care about. He's straight. He lied about it. He never once thought about, his sobrino, if you could say. I never verify this to the dot, but all I know that Boxer, he tried to wash his hands, but again, I believe he was on his way out. That's why he was doing a lot of shady stuff. But anyways, my gente, this was actually the first story I put out on YouTube. I tried to expand a little bit longer than I did to make a little bit more sense. I'm sorry if I sound rushed or not to the point, but something that the whole time I was busted and I was wiggling is my pride always got the best of me, and till this day, I speak with the Lord every day. I thank Him, and my mind still plays tricks on me, man. My pride still gets the best of me. I was trying to do this job I'm doing right now and get it out as fast as possible, and all I did was minimize myself and not took into consideration that I'm just not that person that can handle these no more, and I feel terrible. Pero bueno, mi gente, I won't waste you guys' time with that. I hope I made sense. At the end of the day, my story's being put on here for one reason and one reason only, and that's in hopes that I could actually be of some type of help to those people that have not gone through that life. Dispensing, I say it like this, but for those busted that are in that and want to be in that, mis respetos, like they say, lace up right and denle gas. I'm not against your movement. I'm not against anything, man. But I am for giving at least, the right information to those on how things are for them to make their decision before it's taken from them, right? But anyways, mi gente, again, discúlpenme. I'm not 100%. I wasn't even going to do this, but I had told you guys while I was at work I was going to. I want to keep my word. Also, mi gente, de nuevo, muchísimas gracias for everyone that has shown me love through the GoFundMe membership. Super thanks. However, do know that's going for what I and my family are constantly in an asking mode, So from the corazón, muchísimas gracias. I hope everybody stays true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. Muy buenas noches, que descansen.